Eric Schertzing is here with us for his visit, and Eric says he's been out at the community gardens all day. I'm assuming you didn't need to run the sprinklers?
No, the plants and the weeds are growing just fine. I think the weeds have the genetic advantage, probably. But
did you know there's a very simple system to figure out which are the weeds and which are the plants? You know, sometimes that's a problem.
The healthy ones are the weeds? Is it?
You pull them all out, and the ones that come back are the weeds.
The weeds, yeah.
The ones that never come back are the ones you want. Yeah, that's how that works.
Well, it's one place where you can discriminate, hopefully.
Garden Gibson.
Yeah, follow my advice, you'll have no food. So which ones did you visit, and what are we learning about? How are they coming along?
Well, it's just going out and seeing them. The land bank, has the garden program. John Crone, who a lot of people on the east side know, is the wizard of all things garden. And we spent most of the day looking at the gardens on the north side and on the east side. We're going to have to pick another day to see the rest of them. Met a gentleman, or looked at one of the parcels that has about 15 different types of garlic on it, and there's a guy that has a passion for that and does photography associated with the garlic. And another gentleman that I got to meet that is used to own the scuba shop there on Michigan Avenue. I don't
the underwater place?
Yeah, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's getting into beekeeping and had some hives on a garden there on the east side and is placing those in other places around the community and trying to figure out how to make an economic go of that. So it's just great to see the energy and the activity and the excitement in the new growing season.
One of the things that I have a particular concern about is that the Michigan GAMPS Commission, the Agricultural Commission, decided not to allow the right to farm law to extend to the urban gardens and suburban gardens, which I think is unfortunate because I was around when that law was created. I was working for a farm magazine at the time, and they were quick to say that it would be for small and part-time farmers, it would benefit everyone, but now all of a sudden not so much if you live in an urban area. And I think that's unfortunate at a time where we're seeing this boom in urban agriculture. I would like to see that more and more. I love the idea of having bees, but periodically somebody gets upset and they pass an ordinance that, somebody might get stung so we can't have bees, or somebody's upset about chickens in the backyard. So I'm hoping that Lansing takes full advantage of this and really promotes urban agriculture.
Well, we're slowly, obviously we've been building on this for a number of years. You try to make sure folks are talking to the neighborhood and keeping everybody involved in the process. There haven't been many issues. But there's I think urban agriculture is taking itself to a new level here each year, and we do need to make sure that the city, political leadership is on board. I hope to see more of that involvement by those folks to make sure we can keep this growing, no pun intended.
This new spate of bird flu that's not lethal to humans, but that is certainly lethal to birds, has resulted in a real disaster where there are even some West Coast grocery stores now that are rationing eggs. You can only buy a couple dozen at a time because of what has happened, though, that's quite fascinating, is that the backyard birds are doing fine. We haven't seen any real problems with bird flu among the backyard birds. They're hardy, they're much healthier, and when you get one sick bird, you can isolate it fairly quickly and get it out of there. The challenge in these huge, and I've been in them, you have 50,000 birds in a hen house or 100,000 birds in a hen house. You get one sick bird, you have to exterminate all of them. And that's what's really, I think, been so unfortunate. So I'm glad that, Michigan's having some problems. I mean, the bird flu is really a problem. We're hoping that the summer kind of reduces the flu population, but we'll probably see a resurgence in the fall.
Well, there might be some very good lessons for everybody to learn from that you don't want to concentrate all of your production. Put all your eggs in one basket. Somebody had to say it was out there for the picking. Why not me?
How many community gardens do you count now?
Well, the land bank has over 100 parcels. There's multiple, parcels in some of the gardens, but we're getting close to 100 citywide. And of course, the Greater Lansing Food Bank has run a program for a number of years as individual gardens, raised beds, and community gardens. So there's, if you think about what people are just doing on their own, there's several hundred of them in Lansing.
Is that a large number compared to some other programs in cities, Sounds like a large number.
I think it's right up there. The number could be larger. The wonderful thing when we're driving around, and I've just seen the growth of this each and every year, is there's a church and there's a neighbor people are just doing it on their own.
Right.
So you know it's contagious, and people just start putting in their own raised beds and hacking away some of that underbrush along the fence where it gets the sun. And we saw that in numerous places. So I wouldn't be surprised that we're near the top of the percentages if you really went out and counted all of those spontaneous efforts. And if you think about it, I mean, the Greater Lansing Food Bank over 30 years ago, you know, really began to lay the foundation. It's part of the reason why I think there's such broad community acceptance of the garden efforts that are going on.
I'm going to be giving a speech a week from Saturday out at the Mason Fairgrounds at the Michigan Energy Association meeting that they will have a guest next Monday night talking about the energy fair that's out there. But it's called Saving Civilization One Tomato at a Time, because I think we all have to start growing at least some of our own food, even if it's only herbs on the windowsill, just so that I think if nothing else, it reminds us it's a lot of work to grow food, and it's not that easily done.
That's on the 27th?
Yeah.
Going out another week, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting challenge for us going forward, I think, figuring that out, because we have too many kids who do think food comes from Meyer or now Fresh Time. That's and they don't get an opportunity to see where food really comes from, so it's really wonderful to be able to have kids involved in this as well.
And, you know, on the east side, we've got a plot that has an orchard that was, you know, we've added to it over the years, and I was walking through there a couple nights ago, and one of the apple trees is fairly loaded, another one has a handful of apples, one has just one. But, you know, right there, and there's kids all over. It's right next to the Food Hub distribution center there on Marcus. So we're going to be able to show kids in the neighborhood that, look, there's the apple. It didn't just come from the grocery store. We're going to show them it on the tree. I think those are good things.
You'll remember, I think it was 80% of our fruits and vegetables were grown on backyard farms during World War II.
Yes,
Victory Gardens.
40% of our overall food was grown in Victory Gardens during World War II. So, yeah, I mean it
can be huge.
It can be a big thing, and you know I think people are surprised that it doesn't take that much space to be able to grow some food for yourself. You're talking about the backyard gardens. One of the things I'd like to see a spin-off business, and I'm hoping some entrepreneurs look at it, is the idea of putting in edible gardens for people. I see out in San Francisco that's a trend now where there's companies where they'll come in and they'll landscape your yard so that it looks gorgeous. They'll put in a composting system, and you have the choice of either they will sell the extra produce for you at a farm market, or you can sell it yourself or barter it with neighbors, which I think is a great idea because you'll produce more than you can eat for your own home. So it's really a kind of cool thing. I think I'd like to see a little, you know, take out the chem law and put in the
Absolutely.
Wouldn't be a bad trend.
Well, I think we should grow pawpaw fruit.
I have seen pawpaw.
I have one in the yard next to me.
Yeah.
This is the very strangest tree.
They are.
Maybe you'll have to invite me over. I want to see that.
Smell.
Oh, they do?
Oh yeah. When they are ready to fertilize, they smell.
I
They
would have
attract a
video.
very unique fly, a carrion fly.
Really? Oh, that's
But
not...
they populate very fast. You have to watch out. Yeah, and it's a fruit like about 3 inches long, maybe 2 inches wide, but it's very fragile. That's why it never took off.
Yeah.
But to eat yourself, it's like eating a banana, maybe.
What's kind of cool when you stop to think about it is 5 years ago nobody knew anything other than a big red ripe tomato, as we talked about last week. Now look at the explosion in all the heirloom varieties. People are eating kale, they're eating kohlrabi, they're eating vegetables they wouldn't have eaten before. Now you're really in what role does the land bank play in making sure that we have these gardens around the city, that land is used?
Well, you know, this is one of the uses of the land that the land bank ends up with, often that I have tax foreclosed, often a house has been, you know, demolished on that. You know, John and folks with the interns and the AmeriCorps are there to get folks what they need. We bought a tractor last year. This year we have a tiller so that we can do raised beds with plastic if folks want to take it to the next level.
Wow.
It's got a front end loader on it. We drop off compost, provide seeds and plants through the, you know, several efforts. So it's really a pretty, we can't weed it for them. You know, I mean, folks have to take a lot of initiative themselves. People really don't realize how well those weeds grow. But we do all the preparatory work that somebody needs to really have a good start so that they can accomplish something positive that first year of growing.
That's a lot for people to tackle by themselves.
It absolutely
really a
is.
great thing to be able to have the community behind that. We have some real food stars in the area between, Joan Nelson at the Allen Street Market, and Laura DeLinde is involved with the Urbandale Farm down there.
Sure, I'm on that board. Yeah.
We've got some, I think maybe in some ways it's the proximity to the student organic farm too, gives you some people who have expertise that they can share and do some internships.
Now Laura DeLinde and Linda Anderson, who have really been the two energies behind that Lansing Urban Farm project that we started 6 years ago, they're going to retire out of this though at the end of the year. So we're trying to figure out how to get our...
Who's going to step up to the dinner plate?
Well, that's what we're working on and thinking what that is going to look like. It might be a slightly different model. We need to have those farm apprentices, though. I think that's really been the greatest asset, making sure that folks in the community, in the neighborhood, are brought into the skill set necessary to do it so that it's not just the young student-age transplants from the student organic farm, that it's a more broad-based community effort. And I think those apprentices have made that possible. One
other challenge is marrying that to cooking classes that help people understand how to cook all these new foods they may be unfamiliar with. That's sort of the other side of the process.
Yeah, I think that might be one of those things that we're not doing very much of. I don't know where that's happening. Extension used to do a lot of the food preparation work, and they've changed a lot because of the food culture.
When Foods for Living first got started, when it was in its original building in Okemos, my sister used to do food prep classes out there and show people how to use vegetables in ways that maybe they weren't as familiar with. But I think that's one of the challenges, particularly for an urban market like Allen Street, is that many people they didn't come out of a culture where they had the time or the opportunity to access those vegetables and know how to prepare them. So for that's another piece of the puzzle that we have to work on.